Hey, freaks and friends, Jessie here for some Yoga Vibe YouTube community flow. I am very excited to be in my own body today. This class is going to be for hips and hamstrings, feet and calves, and we're going to be doing some balancing and squatting. Ooh, so very leg focused. My upper body is really sore from some stuff I was doing earlier this week. So if you're looking for more upper body stuff, we'll do a little bit. We'll do some shoulder and neck stretching, but just a heads up, we're going to kind of focus on the lower limb today. We're going to need a strap or a scarf, a yoga strap, or I actually really like using this little scarf jam. Um, so we're gonna need one of those. You're gonna need at least one block. I usually use two blocks in my practice, but I could not find my second block, so we're only gonna need one. But as always, blocks or books or like a little stool or something are great for under your hands for support, or we're gonna use them for something specific today. So um, and then a blanket or a towel, and maybe a pillow or a bolster if you have one of those. Um, as always, props can be anything as props. You can get creative with, the wall, with a chair, with a couple of different towels or blankets. So if you need to pause the video and figure out the props, that's always going to get you deeper into your practice, not take you further out from it. And that's kind of what's on my mind today is things that we think take us further away from ourselves that actually get us deeper in. So, as many of you know, I roller skate and I've been taking lessons and I've started learning how to ride on ramps, and it is super fun. And it's also kind of scary because you could fall, you could get hurt, you're trying something new. And something that I've learned watching myself do it and with feedback from other people who are helping me learn and watch me do it is that when I get scared, my knees lock and straighten. And actually, it does the opposite of what my fight or flight response in my body thinks it's going to do, right? So, fight, flight, freeze, faint, and fawn are all sympathetic nervous system responses to feeling like you're in danger or like you need to protect yourself. So, when that part of your nervous system kicks on, it comes through the autonomic nervous system, which means it's a part of the brain that doesn't have language, that doesn't have like rational decision making. It's instinct. So you might be familiar with that. When we practice yoga, one of the many benefits of it is that we activate and stimulate the parasympathetic nervous system. So the rest and digest, soothing, like regenerative part of our nervous system. Thank you, George. So, when we have these like instantaneous fight or flight responses, um, it's totally natural. It completely makes sense in my body that when I think I'm falling, that my body freezes, right? That it thinks like, play dead. But it's not helpful in learning how to do the thing I'm trying to do, right? And so one of the ways we can practice fine tuning our nervous system is by trying things that are stimulating or strength requiring or that you might fall out of, but staying with your breath, staying with your body, and letting it be a playful awareness that is okay to mess up. It's okay to fall. It's okay to get back up and try again. And actually, George, hey, George, come here. Just pulled the cat's tail in a video. Come here. He can handle it. Trust me. Excuse you. Come here. You want to lay down? All right. I don't even really remember what I was saying, but we're going to play around with keeping our knees bent today as we balance and try to find length. So hopefully some of that will land for you. I'm sure I'll, yak on about it more while we move. We're actually going to start lying on our backs. So if you want to put something behind your head when you lie on the floor, I know I always like that. You could grab your blanket or a pillow or a towel. And we're going to want our strap nearby, so you can just have your scarf or strap at the ready. Let's start with our knees bent, feet on the floor. If you want, you can let them fall in towards center or just kind of hang out wherever they want to be. And I'll invite you to bring your hands onto your belly or chest or somewhere on your body. Take a couple of breaths out. So maybe fluttering your lips or sighing out big. Your eyes can be open or closed, or you can just let them lose focus. And as you breathe, see if you can notice what it feels like to have your breath press into your hands. And what does it feel like to have your body move back down towards the floor? Or if you want, you could breathe in and out through your nose. When we breathe through our nose and constrict the muscles in the back of the throat, like we were sipping air in and out, we can start to practice what's called Ujjayi Pranayama, the victorious breath. Pranayama, or the practice of breathing, is one of the many ways to experience yoga, or connection, which is what that word means when we translate it literally. It means to yoke or bind from the root jut. And your breath might start to make an audible sound, like the sound of a seashell when you hold it up to your ear. I always say it sounds like Darth Vader a little bit. That engaged breathing through the nose will help stimulate the parasympathetic nervous system, so the rest and digest part of our autonomic nervous system. When we breathe like this, we are reminding our bodies that we're safe, that we're able to rest or experience growth. And it's here for you anytime you want. If it doesn't serve you, you don't need it. But if you ever feel when we're practicing, or just when you're out in the world, that you could use dropping back into yourself, just find this breath. A couple more. See if you can press your body into your hands when you breathe in, and almost like you're trying to get away from your hands when you breathe out. Try to empty out all of your air. And on one knee at a time, bring your knees up towards your chest. You can hold in front of your shins. You can hold behind your thighs. Or a third option would be to take your scarf or strap and bring it around the fronts of your shins. Ooh, that feels good. I'm actually going to do that today. And then any movements you want, any stillness you want is welcome. You know, props are one of those things that we think we only use because we can't do something. which sometimes there's like varying degrees of truth to that, but really props in our practice are to help us get deeper. They're to help us experience more of ourselves because they meet us where we are. We're able to experience more connection. Today, the strap around my knees helped me feel into my low back in a way that was really satisfying. And maybe you've got a different grip on your legs altogether. That's good too. If you've got the strap, let it go. We're going to drop both knees to one side. Doesn't matter which one. Take an easy twist. An easy twist means, in my opinion, one that doesn't hassle you. Like, doesn't matter if your other foot's on the floor. Doesn't matter if both feet are on the floor. Your legs go one way. Your arm goes the other way. I said that weird, but we'll all live. And then my right arm is open, my knees are to the left. I'm going to take my left hand on my belly. And breathe deep, just like we did down the middle. What happens when we allow awareness of sensation to be more important than awareness of like what we're doing or not doing? So what are you able to notice that you feel right now? On a breath out, come back through the middle. And take your time going to the other side. You could go right there if you're feeling it. You could pause down center and take some movements or just pause at the center. And then we'll drop our legs the other way. Oh, yeah. Hachi machi. Breathe deep. A few more rounds of breath. We all got there at different times, so if you need a little longer in this twist, please stay. If you're ready to come back through the middle, take as much time with that as you want. We're going to grab our strap or our scarf or towel or whatever we've got. And we're going to bring it around the ball of the right foot. So when I say the ball of the foot, I mean where your big toe and the rest of your toes meet your foot. So not on the arch and not on the heel, but like where a Barbie stands. And from there, we're going to hold the strap somewhere where we can bend the knee 90 degrees. The other leg can be straight on the floor, or you can keep the knee bent. It doesn't really matter. It's whatever feels better for you. From here, we're going to charge up the muscles in our right leg. So almost like you wanted to get away from the strap without straightening the leg. Like you just wanted to push forward. If your leg is shaking, you might be able to see my leg is shaking. That's awesome. That means that your muscles are working here. Draw your toes back towards your face. Try to squeeze your heel towards your butt, but without moving your foot. Ooh. And then release it. I know that's not as satisfying as we maybe thought it was going to be. Oh, but let your legs do something symmetrical, so knees bent or legs out in front of you. And just notice, what happens now? I don't know about you, but like I got a rush of blood flow, of sensation all the way down my leg. And it feels like it's sitting a little lower on the mat. So even though I didn't quote unquote stretch the leg like I thought I needed to. And don't worry, we're going to. But I was able to experience change in my body in a way that was quite lovely. And I think it's going to show up again later in class in a way that hopefully you'll have a couple of aha moments when we get there. So, second side, same thing. We're just going to, whew, the second side might be really different. So, just stay with your sensations, stay with your body. And as much as you push your foot into the strap, try to pull the strap back towards you. This little sort of tug of war here. See if you can squeeze your hamstrings, the muscles on the back of your thigh. Yeah, that's it, me. And you, I'm assuming. I can't see you. A couple more breaths. And then release. Whoo, let your legs come down. Maybe shake them out a little bit. We're going to do each side a second time, only this time we're going to do the satisfying version, but we're going to keep what we had about like the engaged version. So we'll start the same way, strap around the foot, muscles in the legs charge up. So that's the part that's not going to change. We're going to keep the muscles engaged, and we're just going to press the foot away from the body. That might straighten your leg. It might not. Don't worry about getting the leg straight. As a matter of fact, like if you peek up at the video, if you're not watching right now, watch what happens when I like just straighten my leg. All the engagement goes away, my knee locked out, and honestly, I'm not really getting a stretch. So, things to consider. Maybe we can find more by doing something we think goes in the other direction. Yeah, what do you think, Leonard? Oh, and then for the last couple of breaths here, do whatever you want. So, you might want to walk yourself up the strap more. You might want to point and flex your foot. That'll do some stretchy things. But every couple of breaths, I think it would benefit all of us probably to re-engage the muscles in the legs, put a little bend in the knee, and then try to keep that engagement as we extend more. So taking that strength with us while we find space. And then let your leg come down to meet the other one. A couple of breaths here. Maybe shake out your legs. Notice sensations that are kind of rising and falling. And then we'll go the other side. Again, very much the same starting place. This leg is going to be different. So instead of trying to replicate what happened on the first side, see how much engagement and length you can find on this leg. Oh, it might be a little, it might be a lot, it might be an idea. So again, just remember that when you're connecting to yourself, you are always going in the right direction. Even if your brain is like, wait, we were doing that thing before, I thought it was successful, let's get back to that. You can be like, okay, brain, like, thanks for the input, but this is what's here. This is what's happening now. I know when my brain wants me to do something different than what my body is doing, I try to just take it as an invitation to notice what my body is doing. Is my brain right? Sometimes it is. Sometimes there is something I would like to do more or that would also feel good. But a lot of times that thought is actually our fight or flight sympathetic nervous system kicking up. and wanting us to respond instead of just receive. So trust, like what you are showing you right now. And then when you're ready, release. Shake it out a little bit. If you want to take any stretching on your back or knees in your chest, help yourself. We're actually going to come all the way up into downward facing dog. So as you're ready to roll over and press up, we'll find our way onto hands and knees and then come into down dog. I like to get my props set up so that I've got them nearby when I need them. So you might want to shift those. When we come into downward facing dog, I always like to check out the stance length of plank before I lift my hips. Because down dog and plank should be the same length. If you have to scoot your feet back a little bit when you come into plank from down dog, you might just not be taking up enough space in down dog. One of the ways we take up more space in any pose, especially down dog, is a little bend in our knees. So here at first, take a generous bend in your knees. And with your knees bent, charge up the muscles in your legs and just wiggle and move things around here. So what can your bent knees show you about this shape? There are so many things we could look at, right? There's the hands, the feet, the shoulders, the back, the ankles. Today we're going to look at the knees. We're going to see what's going on in that part of the bod. And so with your knees a little bent, keep them bent. Come forward to plank. Ooh, that should be hard. If you're shaking a little, you're doing it right. Deep breath. Remind your body you're safe. It's like, no. And then keep the knees bent. Press back, downward facing dog. If, like me, you maybe want to scoot your feet forward a little bit, I won't tell anybody. I know I just said that thing about the stance length, but it's your body. You can do what you want with it. Keep the knees bent. Charge up the muscles in the legs. Come on forward to this weird bent knee plank. Draw your belly button towards your spine. Press the floor away. Breathe. And then exhale back, downward facing dog. Pedal out the feet a little bit more. And then if you like that bent knee thing, you can keep doing it. But from down dog, we'll just come into plank. Take a breath. And then with your knees up or down, bend your elbows, reach your chest through your arm bones, and come all the way to your belly. Once you get down on the floor, bring your hands wide side to side. Come up onto your fingertips. Bend your elbows. We're going to do this side to side shifting here. I want to encourage you to move however you want. Like, this is made up, so you get to make it up too. One thing that might feel good is like, let's see, drop your left shoulder and peek back towards your right foot. That might feel nice in the shoulders, the old shoulders. You can go the other way. You could do a little lift and lower. You could roll your head or neck. And then release. Bring your hands back alongside your ribs. So for Cobra, I like to have my hands kind of between my low ribs and like the bottom of my pecs, so that when I roll my shoulders back and lift up, my shoulders are externally rotated. So they're not coming forward. They're able to move back. And from there, you can press and lift a little bit, Cobra or low Cobra. And then exhale, release, tuck your toes, press all the way up and back, downward facing dog. You can pedal out your feet a little bit here. You could shift things around. We're going to lift the right leg into the air. We're going to keep the hips square here. So, your instinct might be to open the hips. It's a great instinct. But for now, we're going to try to imagine, how like a Ken doll only has like a front plane range of motion with his legs? That we have all these Barbie metaphors today. That's what we're looking at here with this leg. Everything stays squared to the mat. And then we're going to bend the left knee. Charge up the muscles in the back of your leg. Put a little bend in the lifted knee. Charge up those leg muscles. And then see if you can keep your leg muscles strong and walk your hands back to your feet at the back edge of the mat. Keep bending the standing knee. I know that's going to be hard. Your body's going to want to straighten it. Just resist that. It can straighten the leg anytime it wants to. But right now, we're going to see what happens when we keep the knee bending. That's it. Press your lifted leg foot back behind you. And then come up onto the tiptoe of the left foot. Bend the knee again. And then put the whole foot down. Walk your hands back out. Keep the right leg lifted. Deep breath in. Exhale, draw your knee into your nose. Shift your shoulders forward. Step your right foot up. And come on up into crescent lunge. Or a warrior one if you'd prefer. Arms can be at your hips, overhead, out to the side. If you want, you can interlace your hands behind your back for some more shoulder stretching. Again, we're going to focus on the legs today, so get it while you can. That's it. Breathe deep. Remind your body we are safe, we are supported, and we're just trying something different. Exhale, hands to the floor. Step back, top of a plank. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, bend your elbows, lower down. Release the tops of your feet, roll your shoulders back. Come up into a cobra. And then exhale, release. Tuck your toes, lift your hips, press up and back. Downward facing dog. Couple of deep, full breaths. And we'll go the other direction. So we're going to lift the left leg. Keep the hips square. Put a little bend in your right knee to see if you can charge up the muscles in your right leg. So almost think about like you're making a bicep curl, like you were showing someone, tickets to the gun show, but with your legs. And then keep that and slowly start to walk yourself back into a little modified standing split. Again, bend your standing knee. It's going to be hard to do. You might even have to lift and move your belly a little bit. I felt like I had to there. It is your belly. It is your body. You are more than welcome to touch it, move it, help it adjust. Maybe with your knee bent, you come up onto the tiptoe for a breath or two, just to try something different. And then foot comes back down. Hands walk out in front. Draw your left knee in. Step your left foot up. And come on up. Crescent lunge. Whew. So, on this side, you might want to do the same thing with your arms. You might want to do something a little different. No worries either way. Just take some breaths. Try to sit a little deeper. And then exhale, hands around the front leg. Step back, move through your vinyasa. So a vinyasa is the next well-placed thing. It doesn't have to be a yoga push-up. As a matter of fact, oftentimes it is not. Your vinyasa is what connects you to you. It's an opportunity to really practice your yoga. And so we'll meet up back in downward facing dog. Bend your knees again. This time, bend your knees down like a couple of inches off the floor. Reach your chest towards your upper thighs. Try to smush them together. Charge up the muscles on the backs of your legs, and then keep that as you reach your heels back and your legs long. Try not to let them lock out. Keep a little bend in the knees, even as you charge up all the muscles in your legs, as you let your head and neck get heavy. We're going to keep that and take a long, slow walk all the way up to the front of the mat. So I'm going to encourage you to bend and straighten the knee every step of the way a couple of times. And just notice, can you find some engaged, I don't want to say flexibility. That's not the word I'm looking for. Like a versatility in your strength where you're able to get a little soft. You're able to find some room even in a tight spot. We're going to end up eventually in a forward fold towards the front end of your mat. In a forward fold, I always like to offer a block or two. Usually I have a block under each hand so that I'm not closing my chest off with one block, but as I said before, I could not find my other block, so one will do. If you have a little stool or a couple of books, those are great ways to support yourself here. And you guessed it, folks. We're going to bend and straighten the knees a couple of times. So when I say bend, I mean you might even come out of a forward fold into more of a squat and then press the ground away, keep the legs engaged, and fold a little deeper. It might just be a little movement for you. But notice what shifts. Can you bring yourself out of the pose to help bring you deeper into it? On your next breath in, extend out long through your spine. So sometimes we call this halfway lift, but people interpret that as halfway to standing. And that's actually not what I mean. When I say halfway lift, I mean halfway between 90 and your legs, which is halfway lifted in a forward fold. So think about getting your spine long here. You might need to bend your knees for that. Go figure. Hands can be on blocks or a surface as well. And then fold back down, let it go. A couple of times, just like that. Knees can be bent to do this. Spine gets long. And then breath out, fold back down. Keep going, move with you. And then eventually take a couple of breaths in your forward fold. Bring your feet as wide apart as your mat, side to side. Bend your knees. Bring your elbows up to the tops of your thighs for a little pep talk pose. You're doing great. You're strong and soft. Your body is your own. You're doing it. There's your pep talk. So here in pep talk pose, try to get your shoulder blades together. Lift your low belly. See if you can charge up the muscles in your legs. And then you could stay right here, or you can lower down into more of a malasana squat. A great option is to slide your block or bolster or books under your butt here so that you can get the hip opener with less pressure in your joints. Because, there's a difference between our fight and flight response and actual pain in the body, right? I'm not talking about ignoring pain. I'm not talking about that everyone's limits don't exist. I'm just saying that I know in my own body, a lot of times the limit my brain thinks is there is really different than the limit that's actually there. So sometimes props are how I get deeper into myself to see my limits more clearly. That's it. One more deep breath. And then fold slow. I like to say like you were erasing a chalkboard with your butt. Oh, and then when you get down into your fold, grab opposite elbows with your hands. A little bend in the knees to sway the upper back. And then release that. Hands on your hips. Press into your feet. Come all the way up to stand. And shake it out a little bit. Okay, so we're going to use our block for a little balancing. It's going to be fun, I promise. If you know me, you know my idea of fun is relative, so good luck to us all. We're going to start by standing on the block. So I've got my right foot on the block. I will cue for that, but it doesn't really matter what side you do first. And then I have my other foot on the ground next to it. You'll notice that my leg on the block is bent. It's because there's a block under it. Keep the bend. Charge up the muscles in your legs, and with your knee bent, try to push the block down into the floor like Mario, like you wanted to get a coin. Oh, it's just kind of like that thing we did in the beginning with the strap, only now we're standing with the block. I think it's harder. I think there's muscles in my legs that want to do less like this. So we're just going to press and press and press. And then shake it out. We're going to switch sides. Books are great for this. You just have to make sure that like you're not going to slip on the pages, like a hardcover book, right? Or you could take like 2 books and duct tape them together. That's probably a good prop. Just charge up the muscles in your legs and press the ground away. Your hips will be a little uneven, like I'm kind of pitched forward. You could try to stay more vertical, or don't worry about your hips. That's going to be, you got a block under your foot. But keep charging those muscles up. Keep the engagement. Keep breathing. Remind your body that there's nothing to run from. There's nothing to freeze into. There's nothing we have to please or run from. That's it. And then go ahead. Shake it out a little bit. We'll do a little side body stretch before we do that again. So feet can go a little wider apart. Arms reach up. And then one arm stays lifted. The other arm comes down the side of the leg. Just tip, let your hips go to the other side. And then come on up. And over in the other direction. And when you're ready, come back to stand. Okay. So first side a second time. We're going to add on this time. So from here, get ourselves situated. Press into your foot. Charge up the muscles in your legs. Press into the block with your foot. And then from here, we're actually going to keep the knee bent. We're going to keep the engagement. We're going to forward fold. As you fold, the leg on the block will start to straighten, and your heel on the foot on the floor will start to lift. That is okay. Keep pressing into the block with your foot. Crush the block. A little bend in the standing knee every couple of breaths will help you power that up. That's it. Rebend the knee of the foot on the block. Lift your chest. And see if you can come up into a crane pose. Lift your left leg. Okay. All right, this got interesting. Charge up the muscles in your legs. This is going to be the tricky part, okay? This part. If you want, you could extend your long leg or you could keep it bent. We're just going to see what happens when we start to bend the knee on the block, but keep the chest lifted. You might come down low. You might come out like I did. That was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. We'll do it a couple different times. Don't worry. I'm going to switch over to the other side. So again, we're just starting with the knee bent and the muscles charging up. Mhm. Press into the block. Try to crush it. Try to smush it like you're flattening a can down into the floor as you fold. Whew. Your hands, if your hands don't touch the floor like mine did, you could have, like I've got that ottoman I would use if I needed it. Another, if you have your second block, or your cat, if you have a cat to touch here. Keep pressing the block down. That's it. And then we're gonna bend the standing knee, press in, draw the other knee up, and come up to stand on the block. Charge up the muscles in your legs. Again, you can extend this leg or keep it bent. We're just gonna bend the knee of the foot on the block, so the standing leg, and maybe come, oh, that side I went a little lower. And then I fell, which, like, there's no problem. I didn't crush the cat, so there's no problem. That's it. You may still be in it. You may have come out of it. Good job. Whew, come all the way back up to stand. So, see, now I have to move the cat. This is an issue. Don't mind me, George. Okay. Grab your strap. We're going to stand on, what side were we just standing on? I think I was standing on my left foot, so I'm going to stand on my right foot. I'm going to bring the strap and the ball of the left foot, and then I'm going to hold the strap somewhere where my shoulders can be, where my balance is questionable, but my shoulders are on my back. Start with that 90-degree bend in the leg. So just like we did at the beginning of class, charge the muscles up, draw your belly in, and then press your foot into the strap and extend out long. Don't worry about straightening the leg. Just think about getting more space while you get more engagement. If you wobble, that's good. Bend the standing knee. That might make you fall. That's good. And then eventually, come on out of there. Other side. So, like, I notice that in my body, and you go at your own pace here while I chat. What I notice in my own body is that when it gets tough in the lifted leg, my other leg wants to lock out. It goes to fight or flight, where it's like, I can help. I will protect you. And really, we want to actually protect that knee joint. So instead of letting the body, stay in that instinctive place, just notice, like, oh, what happens next? Whew. And whenever you're ready, shake it out. Don't worry, we're going to do more of these. You don't got to be a hero. There are no points or medals awarded in yoga, which 21-year-old me was really disappointed to find out. I'll tell you what. Okay, so from here, strap aside. We'll use it probably in a little bit. Feet wider apart, bend your knees. Come into another malasana squat. So either pep talk pose or down lower. If you're in your malasana squat, you want your toes and knees to go in the same direction, and you want your feet to be able to press onto the floor. So if your heels are lifted, slide your blanket or towel under them. It will get your hips deeper. The same idea with, like, props aren't because we can't, it's so we can. That's it. We're going to take a little twist. So with one arm, you're going to kickstand inside your leg, press them together, reach up, try to open through the front of the chest, and then switch sides when you're ready. And then when you're done with that, couple breaths through the middle. We're going to fold forward eventually. Turn for the visual of this one, but you can stay where you are. And then take your peace fingers, bend your knees so that you can hook your peace fingers around your big toes so that your fingertips face each other. You might have to bend your knees a lot for this. That is okay. As a matter of fact, even if you don't need to, bend your knees and wiggle your chest and belly down onto the tops of your thighs. Charge up the muscles in your legs. And then try to keep your chest and belly close to your legs as you press into the feet and extend a little. Keep your right hand and your right toe connected. Bring your left hand to your hip. Start to shift the weight into your left leg and put a little bend, in your left leg as you come up to stand. Bend your right knee, foot towards the floor, knee towards the ceiling, arm inside your leg. Try to stand up tall. Option here to extend out through your foot. Come on out when you're ready. We're going to roll the feet out a little bit. Inhale, arms lift. Exhale, fold down. Hook your fingers around your toes and take another fold. Pull yourself together. Hips up, elbows out, head down. That's it. This time we'll keep our fingers around the big toe, right hand to the right hip, and then both knees bend as we come up. That's it. Whoop. Some of you know I like to say balance is a verb, not a noun. It's like not something we get to have, it's something we do. It's something we practice. It's something we work with. So your balance may be, funny today. Go ahead and fold forward when you're ready. Come into downward facing dog. Move through your vinyasa. So after we did those actions, ask yourself honestly, what would connect me to me right now? It might be a yoga push-up and a back bend. It might be child's pose. It might be trying the standing balance again. Get your butt out of my face, Manus. That's it. Back from down dog, lift your right leg. Draw your knee into your nose. Step your right foot forward. Come on up, crescent lunge. And from here, bring your hands together in front of your heart. You could stack your palms or bring them together. Put a little bend in your back knee, and then shift forward and lay your chest and belly down onto your right thigh. From here, try to take up more space. Breathe from your head to your heel. And then from here, we're going to keep the belly and chest touching. And we're going to bend the standing knee to see if we can lift the right leg in the air. This pose is called praying mantis. The right knee stays bent. Reach your foot back. And then exhale. Feet to the front of the mat, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold back down. Press into your feet. Stand all the way up, arms lift. Exhale, fold back down, hands to the mat. Move through your vinyasa. Connect to you. Take a few breaths. And then left foot lifts. Draw your knee in. Shift your shoulders forward. Step your left foot up. Crescent lunge. Come on up. Whew. Last standing pose, I swear. Hands at heart center. Bend in the back knee. Lean your torso onto the front leg. And then see, can you take up some space here? This weird, smushed, not where we think it's supposed to be kind of place. And then can we keep it as we shift the weight forward over the standing front foot Keep the knee bent. Ooh, it's hard for me. Reach your right foot back. Try to get a long line from the back of your head to the back of your lifted heel, even as the front knee bends. And then fold. Take a few breaths there. Move through your vinyasa. So if you want to lift and lower and stand up and fold down, help yourself. We're going to meet up down dog one more time. A few breaths. Okay, so from downward facing dog, we're going to bring our feet together so that the big toes touch. We're going to charge up the muscles in the legs, bend the knees, and bring them all the way down to the floor. So right here, this might be plenty of foot stretch for you. If you could use more foot stretch, you're a masochist like me, walk yourself up so that your shoulders are over your hips, over your tucked under toes. Breathe deep. Your body is going to fight or flight the shit out of this, right? It's like, no, there's no way. There's a little bit of a way. I promise this will not break your feet, and you can come out when you want to, but see, is it really physical resistance, or is it your brain? Is it your reaction? What happens when you breathe deep? Whew, when you're ready, and I was, go ahead and release your feet. Give a little tap, tap, tap to the tops of the feet, and then bring the inner edges of the heels and feet together as close as they go. Oh, excuse me. Flatten the feet, sit back for the counter pose. In the counter pose, I try not to let my ankles roll out to the side. I keep trying to hug them in. It deepens the stretch, so proceed with caution. Option here to do a little side body stretching, or maybe a little twisting if that's calling your name. A shoulder stretch. And then we're going to do another foot stretch here. So you're going to put your left foot down on the floor, flat, and then you're going to take the top of the right foot and place it in the arch of the bottom foot. It should fit there. The bone in the top of your foot is called your clavicular bone. And it is now, when you sit back on your heels, going to be like ramming into your plantar fascia, the connective tissue of your feet. That'll feel spicy. So just be gentle with this really hard thing. And again, offer yourself that ujjayi breath, that soothing nervous system, here and now breath awareness. Like maybe it helps to focus on what the breath sounds like. Maybe it's helpful to just stay with the sensation in your feet. And we're going to switch sides. So come on forward. Kick out the tops of those feeties. Cha, 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 cha. And then second side, right foot down, left foot in the top of the arch. Sit back on your heels. Try to spread out through the tops of your feet. Just stay with yourself. And then when you're ready, come on out of there. Kick out the feetsies. And then I know I already said one last down dog, but really now one last down dog, just to feel into the backs of the legs here. Pedal out through your knees. One thing that might feel good is hooking like between your big toe and your first toe, like where a flip-flop goes, on the back of the opposite heel and pressing down. Obviously, if you do that, do both sides, unless you don't want to do both sides, in which case you don't gotta. And then come on down. Swing your legs out in front of you. Come seated. Okay. So I have to take George Cat's blanket. George Cat, what if I give you this pillow to sit on? Will you come sit on the pillow instead? Oh, he doesn't want to. Here you go. Yeah, that makes more sense, George. Good job. So I like to sit up on a blanket when I do these forward folds, but I really like to sit just on the edge of the blanket. So, I mean, really, it's kind of just like a little lift for my butt. The idea is that your sit bones, so like they're called your ischial tuberosities, and they're where your hamstrings attach to your pelvis. We want them to be as grounded as possible so that your pelvis can be more neutral. When your pelvis tucks under, it pulls on the low back and it actually shortens the hamstrings. So I like to put a little blanket under like the very edge of my tush, and then I give a little manual adjustment. So one hand to the inner thigh, one hand to the buns, and then kind of move them outside to side. From here, we're going to bend the left knee. And we're going to sit up tall. So here with our knee bent, see if you can just breathe. There's going to be urge to do something. It's normal. We don't got to do anything. We're just seeing like what's here. And lift your right arm. It can be out to the side, the elbow could be bent, whatever lift means to you. And then just notice, how did sensation change? We're going to rotate towards the bent knee. You could either wrap your hand or forearm around your leg or hook your elbow outside of the knee. That's a place I always feel like I want to move my belly a little bit. So again, don't be afraid to. Back hand is going to make a kickstand. And then notice if your low back rounded. Try to sit up tall again. Breathe deep. If you've got enough balance, it might be interesting to bring your back hand to your belly or to your chest to feel yourself breathe. And then look forward. Unwind your shoulders. Keep the knee where it is. Bring your arms up. You're going to walk your bent knee out to the left just a little bit. And then from here, you're going to reach forward and down inside the front leg towards your foot. So one option would just be hands around the front leg. Another option would be finding your strap. Or if you've got long enough arms to grab your foot, you could do that too. A third option would be coming around with your arm in front of your shin and either taking the partial bind here or the full bind. But either way, we're folding deep. You could add a strap here between the hands if your hands don't quite connect, but it feels good to like work this shape. And then lift up through the chest and torso. Let your left knee open to the left. If, like me, your leg is really high up in the air, grab a pillow or a blanket or a bolster or your block, your cat. Oh, sorry. And support the leg. The hip will actually open more when it knows the ground is nearby because it doesn't have to do that fight or flight thing, right? It doesn't feel like it has to hold to keep you safe. So trust that that's going to get you deeper when you need it. And then walk yourself down over the long leg, Janu Shirshasana. Fold as deep as folding gets, which could be real deep, and your spine could be vertical. So, don't overthink it. Try not to compare yourself to, anything but what you're feeling. It's not, your practice is not my practice. And as a matter of fact, like your practice yesterday isn't your practice today, isn't your practice tomorrow. It's just the here and now. It's that connection. When you breathe deep, what do you connect to? Start to walk yourself up. And then extend both legs out in front of you. And just shake it out a little. Give yourself a reset. Second side. So right knee bends, left leg is long. And again, we'll just start by getting tall here. So without twisting, can you get extension? Can you get, like we were talking about in those halfway lifts and lowers, can your spine just get longer? Almost like you wanted to put a micro amount of space between every vertebrae, like a little cushion. From here, left arm lifts. Start by just noticing the shift in sensation. And then rotate towards your bent knee. Help yourself around. And again, the twist should be getting us taller in addition to rotating deeper. And if it feels interesting to bring your hand to your thigh or to your belly, help yourself. Maybe this side wants something different. And then exhale, look forward. Unwind your chest and shoulders. Arms up. Walk your foot to the right. And then help yourself down inside the bent knee. You really do want to try to get your knee over your ankle. So if your knee starts to wing, keep hugging it in towards you. Again, option 2, use your strap for the bind here with your arm in front of your shin. If you're in the bind, you're still rolling your shoulders back behind you as you fold. And then help yourself back up. Let your knee fall out to the side. Again, a prop under the outer edge of your leg is going to hypothetically help you get deeper into the pose, so help yourself to that. And then crawl yourself long into Janu Shirshasana. And gently start to walk yourself back up. Both legs come out in front of us. We'll take a Paschimottanasana, just a seated forward fold. So I'm going to say yogi's choice on how to play this forward fold. If you liked a lot of what we did today, You could certainly bend your knees a lot, charge up the muscles on the backs of the legs, and then try to resist that, as you fold deeper. Or you could just like flop and let it go. We are at the end of our practice, so whatever feels good is really what's going to connect you to yourself now. We just spent all this time noticing. And so trust that like what you decide, what you feel right now is valid. It's like from your observational experience, not just from that instinctive, like, brain reaction place. Help yourself up. Come all the way down onto your back. Again, if you want to have your towel or pillow or blanket under your head, I think that always feels good. When you get onto your back, you get to decide how to move. So you can windshield wiper your knees. You could take a happy baby pose. And then one last offering before Shavasana, before our final relaxation pose for our practice today. We're going to take a block, or a pillow, or a bolster, or a couple of books. You could actually do a rolled towel or blanket for this too, like get creative. But what we're going to do is we're going to, with the knees bent, press into the feet, lift the hips, and slide the block on one of its heights, or your prop on a height that feels good for your hips to rest on in supported bridge. And don't be afraid to adjust, to like try a different height, and even be like, no, the other one was better. If it was, One option would be to let your hands rest on your torso or out to the side. You could also bring them up overhead if that feels good in your body. And watch your breath rise and fall. And for the last minute or so here, you could just stay put. You could change the height of the block. You could extend one or both legs out in front of you for some hip flexor in front of the pelvis release. And then another option would be bringing your knees in and your feet up in the air for a supported, like Viparita Karani, like a little legs up the wall pose. We did a lot for our legs today, so this legs in the air might feel really satisfying after all those shenanigans. I like to swim my legs around, I call it. Just to roll out the ankles, to get anything kind of just loose that got tight and didn't need to. When you're ready, if your legs are up, bring your feet on the floor. And when your feet get down onto the mat, press into them so you can lift your hips, move the prop out of the way, and just lower your hips down. Oh, it might feel like you dug a little hole for your pelvis. How nice. Or weird. Sometimes I think that feels weird, not nice. So take any last movements you want, any last poses or stretches. And then we're going to set ourselves up to rest comfortably for a few minutes, as comfortably as we can. So for many of us, that means putting a blanket or a pillow or a bolster under our knees For others, it means propping up the chest and shoulders, especially if you have a cough or a cold. Being flat on your back can be rough for your respiratory system. So, propping yourself up on a bolster or even just finding a comfortable seat is more than welcome here. When you do get things where you want them, and again, it's totally worth it to like readjust, to add another prop. Yeah, that's what I want. Oh. Take a couple of deep breaths in and out. Remind yourself that there is nothing we need to do right now. There's nowhere we need to go. We deserve this time to rest. And so for the next few minutes, just breathe and be. And a couple more deep breaths. And start to move things around. Roll out your wrists and ankles. And take any movements you want here on your back. Just waking up slow and easy. And as you're ready to, roll to one side. Just curl up for a moment and pause. And that also helps your nervous system to not get up too fast, to, acclimate to being vertical again. And press into the ground. Help yourself up. We'll find an easy seated position to end our time together. You can let your hands rest on your lap, in front of your heart, on your chest and belly. And one last time, bring your awareness to your breath. If your hands are on your torso, that physical pulsation of in and out. Sometimes our defense mechanisms are instinctive. They're not something we decide. They're not something that we even want necessarily. It's just the way our bodies and brains learned to keep us safe. That's a little overprotective. And so when we work with, our boundaries and our limits and trying weird, hard things on the yoga mat, we get an opportunity to tune our nervous systems to be with our awareness. Our nervous systems are just going to do what they're going to do. But we can learn how to regulate them, how to work with them, how to even just be like, oh, I am stressed, and that is what it's going to be. It's not because we have to change. It's not because there's something wrong with us. We practice yoga to develop deeper connection to ourselves, not to get rid of ourselves. So thank you all so, so much for sharing your practice with me and yourselves and my funny cats today. Hail yourselves, yogis, and have an awesome rest of your day. Bye.